Welcome to another English lesson by English One Pro. My name is Heather and I'm going to walk you through the past perfect. I thought I'd try something a little bit different today by giving a little bit of overview myself on the lesson. Maybe it will help you out a little bit. Let me know in the comments if you prefer it this way, if there's anything you want to hear included, and thanks again for showing up and supporting English One Pro. So let's start. Let's take a look at the past perfect. So, the past perfect is all about an action that finished before another action in the past. So, we could have it like we have here. I had finished work when you called. So, here we go. I finished work, you called. So, this action happened before this action. I had ran before I went to school. I had eaten my dinner before I studied this lesson. So we're always talking about an action that finished before another action in the past. A pretty common way that we like to use the past perfect is in storytelling, especially when we want to add a little bit of drama to something that happened, maybe a little bit more excitement into our story. And usually with that, as it's coming after another action in the past, we're using it with the past simple and the past continuous, as we saw before as well. So if we look here, I want to add a little bit of drama to my story so I don't give away what happened straight away to my friends. Here I arrived at the airport. I went to check in. I screamed loudly. Why? Why did I scream loudly? So that's where I'm going to bring in the past perfect to add my drama to my story. So I screamed loudly because I had left my passport at home. This happened first. This happened before I left my house, before I got to the airport, before I checked in. This happened before all these actions, which is why I put number 1 here. If we look at another example, we have Lucy was crying and her mom was angry. So, gotta think about, why was Lucy crying? Why was her mom angry? What happened before? What had made Lucy cry? What had made her mom so angry? So if we look on our timeline again, we have that second. Lucy was crying and her mom was angry. For the past perfect, we want to focus here. The first action. What happened first? What happened to make Lucy cry, to make her mom angry? So, just a few examples to help you out. Maybe you guys came up with these examples yourself too. So, first we got Lucy had failed a test. So, Lucy had failed a test. She came home. She told her mom. Her mom was angry. Lucy was crying. Maybe Lucy had broken her mom's phone. So, of course, her mom was angry about that expensive iPhone. Oh no, Lucy is in trouble. Lucy had hurt herself. Maybe she was doing something a little stupid, so her mom was angry about that she got herself hurt. If we look at one more example before we kind of look at the form of the past perfect, David had a headache and couldn't remember his name. Again, why? What happened to David? What happened before? What happened before he had a headache? So here's a timeline one more time. We got David had a headache here and he couldn't remember his name. And then over here we have what happened first. So what happened to David to give him a headache and that he couldn't remember his name? Again, David had crashed his car. So he got into a bad accident. He got a headache, couldn't remember his name. David had fallen over, banged his head. Maybe David had been hit by a ball. Maybe he was playing sports. Maybe he was playing cricket. The ball hit him on the head, and now he couldn't remember his name. He had a headache. So before we have a try at kind of making some sentences ourselves, let's take a look at making the past perfect. So it's simple form. We want to make an affirmative sentence. We have a subject, I, he, she, we, they, it, you, followed by had. Now, had stays the same. Doesn't matter about what the subject is. I had, he had, she had, they had, it had. It's always had in the past perfect. After that, we have a past participle, in this case, read. Now, if you saw our present perfect video, we talked a little bit about what the past participle was and how we form it. So the past participle or the third participle, like we have here, eaten, drunk, visited. If we take a look at eaten, why we say it's the third participle is if we look at simple present, we have eat. Simple past is ate. And then that third participle, past participle, is eaten. Again, with drunk, you have drink, drank, drunk. If we look at visited, this is a more regular verb, this ed verb. So that doesn't really change from the past simple to the past participle. If we say visit, visited, I had visited. So that one is the same. So again, past perfect, we're using had and our past participle to make it. I had read a book about history before the quiz. I had read a book before I came to see you. If we want to make a negative sentence, we're going to add not. We had not read the homework before we came to class. We had not read the task you told us to. If we want to make it shorter, we can make it to hadn't. Had not, hadn't. I had not read a book. I hadn't read a book. If we want to make yes-no question, you're going to switch around the subject and had. So had is coming first. Your subject is coming second. So had you eaten lunch before I saw you? Had she eaten lunch before I came? Had they eaten lunch before they left home? So you're putting had first, and then you're putting your subject second. If we want to get some more information out of people, we want some specific information, we're going to use our WH questions. So we're adding this WH question before had. So you're having WH, had, subject. Now, there's a number of WH questions we can use. We have what, where, when, who, which, why, how, depending on what information we want. Where had you eaten last night before I came to your house? What had you eaten for dinner before Lucy came over? When had you eaten at that restaurant that you told me about yesterday? So again, WH question first, had, subject, past participle. So we're going to have a little bit of a try ourselves. It's going back to the first exercise I showed you. So we're going to try finish some sentences using the past perfect. So here's a few more examples just to help you. We got John was shouting at a man running away. So again, that's our second action. Why was John shouting? What happened first? So the man had stolen John's wallet maybe. The man had dropped his phone, so John was trying to get his attention. This is what we want to do. What happened first? So I'm going to give you some sentences, and I want you to try finish it using the past perfect. So using the same formula that we had done here. So your first sentence is going to be Amy was laughing. So you're looking at what happened first. So if we go back one again, so remember what we're doing. What happened first? Had stolen, had dropped, had eaten. What happened to Amy? Why was Amy laughing? So I'm going to go a little quiet at this point and just give you a few sentences for you to work on at home. And then after, we'll go back to the start and I'll give a few examples. Maybe they match up to what you said. Maybe they don't. Okay, I hope you had some fun coming up with some answers for this. Let's go back to the beginning, and I'm going to give you a few examples myself. Maybe you did a different sentence. That doesn't matter, but do try to focus on what was the form that you used. Did you make sure that you had used had plus the past participle? So if we got Amy was laughing, what happened first? Amy had watched a funny movie. So that's why Amy was laughing. Amy's friend had told her a joke. Amy had seen her brother fall over. So again, we're always using that had plus the past participle. If we look at Tom shouted at the students, what happened first? The students had been rude to Tom. The students had talked too loudly while Tom was trying to teach. So what happened first? We had talked, had been rude. So again, we're using had past participle. Jack screamed. Ah! What happened to Jack? Jack had driven his car and seen a deer in front of him. Jack had heard a noise outside his house. Jack had seen a ghost. What happened to Jack? What made him scream? The bus driver stopped suddenly. A boy had run into the street. A squirrel had stopped in front of the bus. An old lady had stopped the bus driver. Matt got home and his room was a different color. What happened? His mum had painted his room. Matt hadn't gone into his house. It was his friend's house. He was confused. Jenny ran really fast to the bus stop. Jenny had woken up late. Jenny had missed the bus. Jenny had been late for school. Alice woke up and panicked. Jenny's alarm hadn't woken her up. Got a negative sentence there, remember? Jenny's alarm hadn't woken her up. Julie was crying in her manager's office. What happened? Her manager had fired her. Julie had been fired by her manager. The dog barked loudly. What happened first? The cat had scared the dog. The cat had jumped on the dog. The dog had heard the doorbell. The police came to Bob's house. Bob had had a party. Bob's friends had been too loud. So the police came. Again, so let's move on. Let's do one more exercise. As we said, we're using the past perfect a lot to tell stories and kind of building a little bit more on the past exercise that we've been doing. Let's try and make it a little longer. Let's try and make a short story. So here is my example. And as said before, we use it a lot mixed with the past continuous, past simple. So we're giving an order of events and then we're adding that past perfect for like drama. So I was walking through the forest when I heard a sound in the bushes. I went to investigate. I pushed the leaves apart and suddenly I stopped moving. I had heard a growling behind me. I turned and I saw a giant black bear. I ran quickly out of the forest. I did not go back to that forest for quite a while. That was quite scary. So let's look at how we're using the past perfect in this story. So here I'm giving my order of events. I was walking. I heard a sound. I went to investigate. I stopped moving. Why did I stop moving? What happened first? What happened before I stopped moving? And here is our past perfect. I had heard a growling behind me. I stopped moving because I heard a growling behind me. This happened first, and then I stopped. I turned and saw a giant black bear. So I ran quickly out of the forest. So, when you got a bit of time, maybe after this lesson so you can practice, try write your own short story. Use this one as an example. Remember, you want to be using some past continuous, past simple, and then you're going to want some past perfect in there. What happened before? So write your own short story. If you want any help, maybe post your short story into the comments and I'll get back to you. I can give you some help, some advice. Check that your grammar is okay. You're using the past perfect how it should be. Please tell me some stories. What's been happening? And see you on the next lesson of English 1 Pro. Thanks for watching and see you soon.